I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show, we have Peter Nobels, CEO and co-founder of Kalipo. Peter, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Ashton. Glad to be here with you and your audience, so looking forward to this interview.
Likewise, thank you so much. I'm excited to dive into DAOs and specifically in the Lisk ecosystem as well, which is super fascinating. I would love for you to kick off the conversation for us with just a bit of the background on what you and your team have built at Kalipo and how that fits into the blockchain space, and then we'll dive into all the details.
Okay, that's a good point to start from. We are in the middle of building our MVP, so it's all in the making. Kalipo is a platform on which you can establish your own DAO, your tailor-made DAO. We are going to work with templates. We approach it from the community side. Every community, we use community as an overall term to address people working together, people with a shared mission. And all communities have their own needs. So we start with a template and we offer them a starting DAO. In which they have a treasury, in which they can manage their funds, member list, proposal types, and also constitution, which contains their set of procedures by which they like to manage themselves. So is that something to start from?
Definitely, yeah. Thank you for that. And I feel like there's so much to be perfected in DAOs still. You mentioned treasury management there, which I feel like is one of the most important. But from what we've seen of the cryptocurrency industry sort of working with DAOs and trying to build out the future of internet organizations, really, I feel like there's still a lot to work on. Where do you guys start, and how do you, maybe you can comment on how do you properly work on the treasury management and the money part of DAOs, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, and you address a very good topic. There's much to learn, and then there's almost an endless design space, so you can go everywhere. So you have to start somewhere. We start very simple. We say it's like starting a WhatsApp group with a lot of members and giving them a treasury and some mechanisms to vote, to make proposals. But starting with the treasury, yeah, we start just with having tokens at start from one kind. As you said, we are building on the Lisk blockchain infrastructure, so you can manage your Lisk tokens on our with our treasury management function. And at the moment, we have just now let's say just two kind of transactions below a certain amount of tokens. And then perhaps you just need multi-sig, two of your colleagues, members voting with you to make the transfer happen. But above a certain amount, and that threshold is to be decided upon by the members. Some communities say, well, above €1,000, I'm from Europe, we have to vote all. And below, it just depends on 2 or 3 people. So we have 2 proposal types, value transfers below a certain threshold and value transfers above a certain amount of tokens. So that's where we start from. And then we're going to add different currencies, perhaps also fiat currencies. Let's say you have a work package, which is done, let's say, developing a piece of software. And the contractor like to be paid in fiat currencies. So the treasury will contain over time more and more different currencies. So that's where we start from. Does that sound logic?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that sounds great. And I feel like, as you mentioned, there's sort of an endless amount of functions that you can create in an internet organization or a DAO. That at what point do you say that's enough? And with before you launch the MVP, as you guys are working on the MVP right now, I'm curious in how long you have been working on it since the start, and at what point is there enough functionality for you to take it to the next stage of a main release?
Yeah, that's a good question. We started building. We are funded by a grant of the Lisk Foundation. We won with our proposal, our project proposal. We won a certain amount of Lisk coins, and that's our funding. And we started building in last year in the autumn. So we are now we are supposed to launch or to deliver the MVP the 1st of July. But our roadmap is also connected to the roadmap of Lisk, and they are planning to have a totally new release, as I recall, in the beginning of 2024. So that will be the real launch of our system. But for the functionality, the MVP functionality will be ready on our side the 1st of July. And then we are going to add what we call constitution management. We offer every group who establish a DAO on our platform. We offer them a basic set of procedures, and from thereon they can learn and they can adapt. I mentioned the value transfers with a certain amount, but they can also make proposals. Let's raise this threshold to €2,000 or 10,000, depends on the community. So they have voting mechanism to adjust their procedures, and I think this makes it very convenient. Instead of going all over the hustle of improvement proposals, perhaps you recall the BIPs and Bitcoin of the EIPs in Ethereum. It asks for a lot of community discussions, and I will be supported those discussions with handling proposals. But the moment proposal is decided upon, in this case, it will be executed on the platform immediately. So
very cool.
That's our So we have proposals about value transfers, but also about memberships. Do we vote somebody in or out? Or about just making an adjustment to the platform. So we have different proposal type, and the constitution management, as we call it, is our second release.
Great, Peter. And you mentioned there about getting a Lisk grant, which I think is really cool. I'm curious on the technology choice of building all this functionality on the Lisk blockchain and ecosystem, and why the Lisk technology is the best for this, because you often don't hear about DAOs that are on Lisk. We've heard of Ethereum and some of the other blockchains, mainly just to save costs from Ethereum, but not for Lisk. So I'm curious on why that technology is going to make Kalipo a great solution.
Yeah, there are several reasons that we chose for Lisk as an infrastructure. First of all, they have. I really like their architecture. They have a main chain and side chains, and with this architecture, they are creating a kind of library of different services, which can be offered, IT services, to the different side chains. With the main chain being the transporter, and also you can pack for security. So that's one reason, the building being part of an ecosystem of IT services which can make use of each other. That's one reason. And also the side chains, you can choose your own consensus mechanism. You can go with the Lisk, what Lisk supports you, the DPoS, the decentralized proof of stake. But when you choose to start, for example, with just a proof of authority, let's say you're building something for healthcare, and there are several hospitals or general practitioners wanting to have a node. You can start from that. So you can choose your own consensus mechanism. That's not the other reason. And it's also more lightweighted this way, because you don't, all the side chains, the main chain doesn't have the burden of all transactions being on the main chain. So it's kind of a layer 2 construction built in. And another reason is also that their SDK, they have a software development kit by which you can code in JavaScript. And also we have a kind of a partnership with the University of Applied Science in Utrecht. And a lot of students are familiar with JavaScript. And it's very hard to find really good and cheap Solidity developers. So also for that reason, the shortage in the market for the Solidity programmers. We made a choice for Lisk.
Yeah, no, I think.
And I want to mention one thing. It's not technology driven, but I very much like the approach of the Lisk Foundation. They're steadily delivering on their promises. Veteran team, really solid. They are very trustful and very well promising on delivering on their promises. So.
Definitely. No, I did speak with the CEO of Lisk on the platform. On their platform updates recently, and I know they've been around since a long time in the birth of Ethereum. And although they didn't have the network effect that Ethereum has, they have made huge progress in updating to the world of DeFi and NFTs and DAOs. So I do agree with you there, and also about the JavaScript and the SDKs. I know that makes it really easy to be able to develop, and especially JavaScript. With the amount of developers in the world that already know these traditional languages, that don't have to go and learn Solidity or new programming language on Ethereum, that's going to make it way easier to get the rest of the world involved in blockchain. So great reasons there, Peter, and yeah, I think that's a good choice. Now, with the MVP and where you guys are at right now, are people already able to start testing out this functionality and creating mini DAOs?
Well, on our website, we have a kind of demo and you can walk it through and experience a little bit yourself. But that was really a proof of concept version. So don't be too high expectations, but it gives you a kind of feeling how it works. So after the MVP, you should be able to establish your own DAO. And you can do voting, and you can do just voting on proposals without follow-up execution on the platform itself. It's more like a snapshot. Everybody agrees how we spent our profits. Do we have a party, or do we spend it somewhere else? So it gives you a feeling how you as a community can vote and together on proposals. So
definitely. And yeah, I like the approach of following along with the Lisk roadmap as well. And you talked about 2024. I recently had a conversation with another DAO and the founders were talking about how they see DAOs over 100 years from now, right? And it's no easy process to build internet organizations and automate all of the functionality of internet companies. It's not a 1 year, just one and done. So I have a feeling like this is something that's going to be, as you said, you have the main functionality, but there's a million other things that will come after that, and it's like a never-ending process.
Yeah, and we have a clear vision on that. First, we start with DAOs as teams. Let's say a group of people of 15 or 20 or so many people, and then we are going to build constellations, like parent-child constructions. You start as a team, and you have commissions or sub-teams or whatever, and they have relations towards each other. And let's say the parent divides the budget. And every child gets his own budget. It's almost like fractals. It's copying the structures to the lower levels. And the next step will be DAOs doing transactions between each other. You have a work package, and you want another DAO to do the work for you, like a talent or a work market. And they can whether do proposals or and then you can make like what we call a contract composer, when you have a contract between a contractor and a client, then you need some agreements on when to deliver, on what terms, payout scheme. And another thing is all happening on the same platform. Yeah. And we are also making the mother of all DAOs, which runs the platform. So every DAO can have a seat in the Kalipo DAO. and then you are going to reign or to govern the whole platform, and you get a treasury of the platform itself.
Mm-hmm.
And where you ask some transaction fee, and you have like a VAT, a kind of take rate, which ends up in the treasury of the platform. And then as members, you can decide how do we spend it. Are we going to build new functionality on Kalipo, or are we going to divide it, to distribute it to all members? So we are already thinking how to exit to the community and give them a say in the overall course. But these are the main elements.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, Peter. And you mentioned about the treasury management, and that you also, working with Lisk, there's at some point the Lisk tokens are involved there. I'm curious if there is functionality just for all digital assets, stable coins, Bitcoin, or just Lisk, and also if there's a Kalipo coin that will be involved in it as well.
Yeah, I think in the end, to start from your last question, there will be a Kalipo coin, because it's inevitable. It's like shares to start with. We like to everybody participate in governing the platform. So then you have to give some kind of rights, and also when you want the profit from to distribute all profits, who to share it to. So tokens will be part of it. And in the treasury, you can have all kinds of tokens. And we start with Lisk, and we are going to add more and more tokens over time. Does it sound reasonable?
Definitely, yeah. And for the next 6 months and sort of the rest of 2022, what are the main initiatives that you and your team are looking to get done?
Yeah, as I said, the MVP will be mostly about proposals and memberships. The second part will be about what we call constitution management. And the third part will be about ownership and shares, and perhaps already the Kalipo tokens. We don't know yet. We are investigating it. If you like to hear it, we are doing some research on how to mint tokens and how to distribute tokens. And then we like to onboard our first user groups, and we envision that will be web native developer teams, perhaps also groups of people running a node. How are we going together to decide how to share the profits the nodes will make, or the delegates as they call them in Lisk. So we are going to focus on user groups. And perhaps from there, I'm also having talks with a political party who want some functionality for their democratic and engagement of their members. So it depends a little bit on our user groups. The first user groups, how we are going to build our next versions and releases.
That's great to hear, Peter. And I think getting political parties and getting blockchain voting in actual elections is a great use case for DAOs, and hopefully we'll see that in the coming years as well. Now, for the viewers that are looking to learn more about this DAO ecosystem and following along with the updates for Kalipo, what is the best way for them to learn more and to follow along?
Yeah, you mean DAOs in general or just Kalipo?
Well, for Kalipo.
Yeah, well, for Kalipo, you can find me on LinkedIn, and that's the platform I use most. They are also active on Twitter, but not too much. You can also visit our website, but it's a little bit outdated at the moment, so we have to make an update there. But the best way to contact me is on LinkedIn.
Okay, sounds great, Peter. I will leave.
And we also have, we also have a Discord channel. So when you type Kalipo, you can find us there as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I will leave the Kalipo platform link and the Discord and your LinkedIn as well in the description box below for the viewers. Thank you, Peter, for taking the time. I'm really fascinated and excited to see how DAOs will come out to fruition and all of this functionality and how it's all going to work in the blockchain industry, and hopefully all of the world as everyone outside of blockchain gets involved. So all the best with you and your team's work on Kalipo moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Yeah, thank you. And I hear you're a great supporter of this way of thinking. So let's make it happen together. And perhaps as a last comment, I also raised the DAO Hub, a group of experts from all fields, thinking together what DAOs can do for the world. So when you type in DAO Hub on Google, perhaps you find us as well.
Great, Peter. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for having me. And good luck with your show.